Welcome everybody. This is the Microsoft 365 platform community call. It is April 26th, and I was updating the slides, I noticed that I already set the next call to happen in May, and it's actually quite terrifying how fast the time flies. So it's pretty soon summer, and Christmas is coming pretty soon, right? So my name is Vesa Juvonen. I'm a product manager in the Microsoft 365 platform, and working on a different ecosystem and community and open source side of the house. Now, in the agenda of today, we'll talk about the latest latest updates and news on the Microsoft 365 platform. So what is happening in the latest from our side, from official announcements, and then we'll do the group photo in the together mode for those who are willing to enable their video, and that's going to be then shared in the social media later and as part of the blog post as well. Today we'll have two demos from Saurabh Bhatia, create an app that extends across Teams, Outlook, and Office. So that's about the Teams SDK v2 and how it can be taken into account. And then the second demo is with Waldek and Alex, and they're going to talk about easily fix errors in your SharePoint framework projects with CLI for Microsoft 365. So there's a really, really cool new functionality in the CLI for Microsoft 365 that's, by the way, missing. And it's not a CLI for Microsoft, it's CLI for Microsoft 365. That's interesting typo on the title. Anyway, I will get that one fixed for the recording for sure. Now, as we do have two demos, we can go 15 to 20 minutes per demo. Let's see how it goes, and it might be that we'll have some time in the Q&A, but let's see how the call always goes. It's better this way rather than rushing with too much content as well, which does seem to happen every now and then within these calls. Now, quick recap on the assets what we provide you or which are available for Microsoft 365 development. We do have two different YouTube channels. We have the Microsoft 365 developer videos channel, where we have the official videos from marketing and from our cloud advocates. Then we have our Microsoft 365 community video channels, where we have all of the community call recordings, community call demos, and all of those provided from there. It's a bit of a confusing thing that there's two of them. Don't worry about it. It's due to historical reasons. We have a lot of GitHub assets available in the GitHub in a multiple organization. Just to call out a few things maybe in there, now that we have a bit more time, we have the github.com/PMP, which is our Microsoft 365 platform organization, and that is really the community location. So from there you can find samples from Microsoft and community. And then we have the official locations, which are Office Dev and SharePoint and Microsoft Graph, which are more coming from the Microsoft side of the house. So there's kind of a differentiation related on the organizations, and that's why they do exist. We do have a lot of samples available, and in these sample galleries, especially the first one, which is the unified sample gallery, we are surfacing not only the Microsoft samples, but also the community samples, which are contributed to the centralized location. So everybody's getting surfaced from one centralized location, making it easily find the needed sample for you. So don't start from scratch. Always check if there's something relevant for you in this location. And if you're wondering that there's too many URLs to remember, oh my God, there's luckily only one, which is AKMS M365 PMP, which is actually pointing to the Microsoft 365 platform community site. Now, as part of our community efforts, we do execute quite a few community calls. We do have this weekly Microsoft 365 platform call, which is happening Tuesdays, every single Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time. Now, we will start now promoting this in the summertime. We will not have this call, so we will be on a break in July and August. So we are avoiding the, let's say, the most of the vacation times in the Northern Hemisphere. So that should be easily to follow. And the reason why we're all the way until end of August, so it's easy the thing to remember. So both July and August, and these calls will be on a break. Now, the other calls will continue executing. So there's a few other monthly community calls, and then the bi-weekly community calls, which are happening on every single Thursday at 7 a.m. Pacific time. It's either the Microsoft 365 community call or the Viva Connection and SPFx call. All of those calls, and you can download a recurrent invite from the AKMS M365 PMP. Now, we also provide a lot of getting started assets for Microsoft 365 development. So don't, again, wonder that where would I get started? Somebody asked me to do a first Microsoft Teams application or a bot. How would I actually do that? Well, luckily we do got you covered. So we do have a free Microsoft 365 developer tenant available for you. So you only register to the developer program and you will get that. And then we have the Microsoft 365 platform learning material available for you. So there are tens and tens and tens of hours of learning material, which is free for you to take advantage to learn how to get started on Microsoft Teams, Teams, Outlook development, Office add-in development, Microsoft Graph development, SharePoint framework development, and so on. So all of that is available for you. Now, we also have two different podcasts, or one of them is not only a podcast, there's also a video channel available for you. So we have the Microsoft 365 Developer Podcast channel, which is hosted by Jeremy Thake and Paul Schaffelin. Jeremy from Microsoft and Paul Schaffelin for Add-in 365 company, trying to get that out of my mouth. And then we have the second podcast, which is Microsoft 365 PMP Weekly, where the hosts are me, Vesa Juvonen, and Waldek Mastykarz, who is one of the demo presenters today. Now, I kind of mentioned the following one already, but we really want you to remember that we have the new Microsoft 365 Unified Sample Gallery, from where you can now find more than 1,060 samples around the different extensibility options in the Microsoft 365. So this includes examples and solutions which are using Microsoft Graph, Microsoft Teams, Office add-ins, Power Apps, Power Automate, SharePoint Framework, Graph Toolkit, and so on. So there's a lot of different assets available from that one centralized location, which is super cool. Now, if you're wondering on, how would I get started on using these samples as their GitHub, or I have this awesome sample and I would love to have it actually exposed through the official Microsoft channels as well. How would I do that? Well, we got you covered, and David Warner is in the call to explain what this is all about.
Thank you, Vesa. That is a fantastic question. And as Vesa mentioned, Sharing is Caring is a program that is here to provide you hands-on guidance. What that means is we're going to work side by side with you to show you how to utilize those samples, how to contribute to those samples. Maybe you want to present on a call and you're a little nervous. We've got you covered. These are live, safe space opportunities to work together with other members of the community, MVPs, Microsoft employees. We're one big community. We want to empower you to do more in whatever it is the space that you want to dive deeper into. They are all free, scheduled at various times of the months, and we're getting more and more scheduled all the time. In addition, we also have the ever popular AMAs. Now, there's an AMA today just after this call at 9:05 a.m. Pacific time on Viva Connections that's going to feature John, Luca, Pat, Vesa, Alex. The whole band is going to be there to answer any and all questions that you may have. So everyone's invited, always popular. We're going to get more AMAs scheduled up, some around Power Platform coming soon. So stay tuned, ak.ms/sharing is caring. Vesa, back to you.
Excellent. Thank you, David, on that. And looking forward on the discussion right after this call today. So that should be interesting. I think we have some questions there already waiting, don't we, David?
We do, in fact, but bring some more. So we definitely want to want to stump them.
Absolutely. Cool. Then quick recap on the news of the day. So on news from the last week, we didn't have too many news, official news from the Microsoft in the developer channel or developer blog or the Teams blog or the Microsoft Viva blog or any of the other blogs either. We did, however, had a news related on the latest release and preview release of SharePoint Framework 1.15, which is currently scheduled to go GA later this semester. So that would be meaning by end of June. Again, subject to change, but this is an early preview of the 1.15. And the new capability there is the custom form customizers. So you are able to actually build unique components in SharePoint Framework to modify completely the edit, new, and view presentations in the list and libraries. And that is a really cool component. And by the way, Alex, who's in this call, is the person behind of that implementation. So clapping some hands for the Alex on that one. It's really cool job on that. On the Microsoft Teams blog side, we have two new blog articles, one being the delivering professional grade broadcasts, so with the new Microsoft Teams capabilities. So that focuses on the new broadcast capabilities in the Microsoft Teams. Not really developer oriented as such, but it's good to know what's actually happening. And the second is kind of more a tech let's say, interesting for a techie. So as part of the latest version of Kyocera Rocket smartphone, there is actually a walkie-talkie Microsoft Teams button integrated directly on that phone. So it's kind of a cool that you're able to then use those in the manufacturing business or building houses, and then people can easily chat between each other using the Microsoft Teams. Now, before we go to the actual demos and stars of the day, we're going to still do a recap on the updates on the Microsoft Teams docs. And Saurabh is on the call to cover those, right?
Thank you, Vesa. Hello, everyone. I'd walk you through the platform and documentation updates today. So we've recently released documentation on CI/CD pipeline. TeamsFX helps to automate your development workflow while building Teams applications. Using tools and templates, you can set up CI/CD pipelines, create workflow templates, and customize CI/CD workflow with GitHub, Azure DevOps, Jenkins, and other platforms. To provision and deploy resources, you can create Azure Service Principles and publish the Teams app using Teams Developer Portal. You can find the documentation link here. Please try it out and we look forward to your feedback as well. Now let's move to the doc updates on the right. We've been working on multiple step-by-step guides. Step-by-step guides is an artifact that has a task-oriented approach, linear topics, provides an end-to-end scenario, and loops you back to the documentation. Here is a list of all the step-by-step guides that we've worked on so far. If you have any suggestions or you would like us to build some new step-by-step guides with a complex scenario, please do reach out to us and we'd be happy to accommodate that request. So these were the platform and documentation updates. If you have any feedback or suggestion, please post on aka.ms Teams platform feedback. The link is given in the footer. You could also follow us on Twitter and configure to the RSS feeds to get regular updates on the platform. So looking forward to your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh. Really, really good summary and cool to see the constant updates and improvements on the Microsoft Teams platform docs as well. Now, I want to call out, please use the AKMS Teams platform feedback. So if something is missing, if something is not right, or you would like to have new features, please do let us know. It's super important for us to understand your feedback, your missing features and capabilities, because we are building Microsoft 365 platform for you. This is not something what we want to just dictate from our side. So you as a customer and a partner, you are our core audience. And same applies for, in general, for all of the other functionalities in Microsoft 365 as well. Now, we do have a few special events happening as well. So 5th of May, on top of this week's AMA, was happening right after today. That was around Viva Connections. And next week, we will have a Microsoft Tech Days, having a seat with Microsoft 365 developer platform. And this is quite cool 2-hour setup where we're going to build a lot of different capabilities for Microsoft 365 platform. It's going to be hosted by me and Waldek Mastykarz, and there's going to be MVPs like Rickman Russell, Tommy Gulles, Stefan Bisser, Paula Pialorsi, and Albert Jan Schoff, demonstrating Power Platform capabilities, Microsoft Teams development, bot creation, graph usage, and all of that. And it's 2 hours, so it's not a massive booking, but it's actually hopefully opening up new ideas and inspires what can be done within the Microsoft 365 platform. Now, related on getting inspired, we also have our official Microsoft 365 Build conference coming up later in May. We are currently in progress of recording the on-demand videos, and they are looking really, really awesome. So the on-demand videos and the breakout sessions and the content in them, there are new stuff available as well. So it's looking really, really cool as a really, really cool event in the end of May. A lot of new announcements, none of features. I'm going to go to GA and all of that stuff as well. Registration is coming soon at mybuild.microsoft.com, so you can go there and then build your schedule based on what are you planning what's there. Now, we also wanted to call out one survey. So please help us to shape the future of search. This is really around the search in the GitHub and search on finding users and the source code and functionalities in the platform. So if you have a few minutes time, this is only this is going to take like 5 minutes max to give us input related on the functionalities what you want to have. So if you have opinions about the GitHub search, please click that link which David put on the chat, or go AKMS/GitHub search survey, and a relatively quick survey for you to fill in. Now, again, before we go to the actual show of today, which are our demo presenters, let's have a quick together mode picture time. So I will put ourselves in the right mode. 1 second. And let's move this one in here. And it's going to ask me that which scene do we want to use? Which one do we want to use today? Let's use the auditorium dark. If it's going to flip it, let's see. No, it doesn't do that. Well, that works. Oh, there we go. We have 50 seats in the room. So let's see how many I think we still have one row to fill if people are enabling the video. There we go. Let's wait a few more seconds. We are in no critical rush today as we have 2 demos. Thank you, Brian and Todd on the on the video. That's really good. I would really like us to do a wave at some point, but it gets really complicated. But I will click the record button. Give me 1 second. And as that starts recording, let's do a GIF animation out of that. So let's do some hand waving, everybody. Thank you for joining once again on this weekly community call. Awesome to have you joining us, and please keep the feedback coming. We are building the community and the products for you. Thank you for that. Excellent. So let me move that away, and I have now captured that GIF animation, so that's good. And let's actually go to the real stars of the day. So we'll start with Saurabh, related on the Microsoft Teams V2 SDK, which really is about extending the Microsoft Teams application across Teams and Outlook and Office, and that's a really, really cool topic. Saurabh, let's jump on your screen and move from there.
Thanks, Vesa. Let me just share my screen.
Yep, I have your screen, so take it away.
Awesome, thanks. So hey everyone, today I'm going to talk about obviously creating your first Hello World application that you can write once and then run across Teams, Outlook, and Office.com. Before we go into how to write and deploy this kind of app, I want to share a little bit of an example on the types of scenarios you can enable with this type of app. So let's take an example of a simple app, our favorite company, Contoso, and imagine you're building an app for your sales team, which tracks their action plans. So the CAP, Contoso Action Plan app, allows sales teams to build and coordinate action plans using a nice intuitive interface. Now, the sales team spends a lot of time inside Teams communicating with their peers and customers. So it makes sense for this CAP app to be a personal tab in Teams. The sales team can access it and update the action plan without having to leave Teams. If you're already familiar with developing apps for Teams, this CAP app is nothing but a personal tab. But the additional piece here is now it's not only in Teams, you can also run it in Office.com or Outlook. So, the sales team isn't just using Teams, they're also using Outlook to email and schedule meetings with their customers. So CAP can now also show up in Outlook as a personal tab, just like it did in Teams, and you can access it as just another app in Outlook. Similarly, as part of their daily work, the sales team will often have to collaborate on various documents and presentations. Many of them might use Office.com or the Office app on Windows to discover their most recent files that they're working on along with their peers. So it makes sense for this CAP app to also now show up as a personal tab in Office, just like it does in Teams. So that's just an example of the types of scenarios that you can enable by just taking that personal tab app that was initially in Teams, but now is available across Outlook and Office.com. So now let's get into, hopefully that gave you some background. Now let's get into how you can actually start building like the very first Hello World app and what are all the places and environment setups you need to do to go build it. So today's one-stop shop to get started on everything is going to be the Teams Toolkit. You can go get it from ak.ms vs Teams Toolkit, or if you already have Visual Studio Code, you can just search for the Teams Toolkit extension and go get it from there. Once you do install the extension, what you'll notice is you get this additional toolkit, Teams Toolkit tab over here. And there's a nice little quick start guide that you can follow to just get started with the whole experience. The very first step it does is sort of just a pre-checker, make sure you have the right version of Node and NPM running. I've already done that, so it's checked, and I can go on to the next step, which is let's start building the first Teams app. So you can create a brand new app from scratch, or you can view some samples and open up those samples from the Teams Toolkit itself. For today, I'm just going to pick the very basic Hello World tab sample, which essentially just shows up a tab in Teams. And I've already opened this up so I don't have to go in and create it. It's already in my VS Code environment. So I'll just say, yes, this is done. And I am ready to start building my first Teams app. So once I have the sample clone in my local drive, the next step is you need a Microsoft 365 tenant to start testing your app. This is what I think Vesa alluded to earlier, which is you actually get this free developer tenant, Instant Dev Sandbox, where you can start sideloading your apps as you're developing them. From the VS Teams toolkit, you can actually just click on that link and go spin up and sign up for this app. Or if you already have like an organization tenant, you can sign into that. And the only additional thing you have to do is make sure that sideloading is enabled on that tenant, because sideloading is the thing that allows you to kind of deploy that test app on your tenant, hit F5 and debug things. Once you do these steps, I've already done these, you can then sign in to VS Toolkit with your credentials, whether it's for your developer tenant or your organization tenant. And then the toolkit would automatically check and make sure that sideloading is enabled and you're good to go there. So this is just an environmental setup step that you need to do. Once that is done, you are ready to hit F5. You have the app, you have the environment, you're ready to just run a local preview, and you get the option of which browser you want to run it in. I already have that app running. It's already debugging, so we don't have to debug again. Let me switch to my Edge window here. So it is that app that we just cloned that is now running in Teams. Now, since I said this is not just a Teams app, it could also run in Outlook or Office. You can actually navigate to office.com and click on the apps, and the same app will now show up in office.com as well. And then finally, you can also go to Outlook, and the exact same app is pinned. Now, just to show that it's the exact same app and you're running F5, I'll just click over here, and then I have a breakpoint that's set up, which is going to hit right over here. So even when you are debugging across all these test apps, whether it's Teams or Office.com or Outlook, it's actually the exact same app that you're testing out through Edge. It's just another web app. You can hit with breakpoints just like you would with VS Code and continue your development environment. So let me get that window back in and hit continue on that breakpoint so that we can continue there. Now that you have kind of gotten your local dev loop running, you clone the app, you hit a local F5, you might actually want to deploy to a cloud environment and test things out from there itself. And the sample ads itself tells you how you can go about doing that. So I'll minimize that window and go back to my Teams toolkit. So right here, along with the accounts, in addition to your developer tenant that you signed into, you can also sign in to your Azure tenant where you can deploy your cloud resources. Once you've signed in, you can simply say, I didn't want to provision that again, but you can simply say provision it. I'll cancel out of there because it's already provisioned. And it'll go in and create the right resources, the right services that are needed for this app on your Azure backend, even go in and register the Azure AD registration if needed. And once that is provisioned, the environment for dev will show up as provision and tell you which resources it's using. Just like you hit F5 on the local debug, now you can also hit F5 on the actual cloud deployment that you have developed over there. So not only can you do kind of the local loop on VS Code, you can actually deploy to your cloud environment and start testing things out over there. So once I've done this, I'll just head back to that Get Started page. I have previewed my Teams app locally. The last step is, say you've tested things out and you are really ready to deploy your team application, say to your environment. You're still within VS Code. VS Code lets you have some deployment commands, which I can click on over here. And that takes you back to that deployment page. And there's a couple of options here. I can say publish to Teams, or I can just zip the Teams metadata package and get a zip file that then I can upload to Partner Center or Dev Portal or wherever. The publish to Teams is super cool because even if you're not the admin, what it's going to do is allow you to give the options to say install for your organization. Directly, it'll send your app to your Teams administrator for approval via the Teams portal. So as a developer, you might not have the right permissions to deploy the app to your environment, but from here you can submit it, and then the admin on your tenant will get a notification or a pending approval on the custom app that you've submitted. And then they can go in and allow it, and then that app will show up. So right from within Teams, this was like a quick tour. Right from within Teams, you can get started, deploy your cloud environment, get a sample ad, hit F5 on your local image, provision the thing in the cloud, and then deploy the app on your own tenant and wait for approval from the admin. So just a quick overview of everything that's coming online with Teams. There'll be more that'll be coming in as we head towards build, which is less than a month away almost. Looking forward to any feedback and questions people might have.
As we have a few minutes, don't stop sharing. I want to ask a few questions, and I can help on answering the second one. So where was it? What about Teams for the desktop? Will this work in Teams desktop as well?
Yes, it will. The F5 story, the debug story, is for web only, but the same app, once you've sideloaded it through VS Code, you can actually launch Teams desktop and also kind of see it working over there.
Yeah. And I have, well, this is almost a technical nuance. So Jim Duncan is saying, if I enable sideload app and disable sideloading, would it work? My understanding is yes, because it's just a sideloading on sideloading time. I don't know if you can, Saurabh, confirm that. So if you kind of enable the sideloading, sideload the app, you disable the sideloading, will the applications which were sideloaded still keep on working? I guess, I don't know. We would have to verify.
Yeah, I don't know off the top. I'm curious why you would want to do that, but I'm not sure about that answer.
I guess it's exception for one application or another, so it's just so story on that one. And Outlook Desktop 2, well, that's going to be in the plans, absolutely. Just checking quickly the main questions. That's it. And then there was a question related on what will that work too on the Microsoft Teams apps created with SPFx? And not yet. That is in the roadmap. So SPFx team is aligning to the new V2 packaging model, and SPFx team people are working together on making that happen. So SPFx has the advantage that you don't then need to externally host anything because stuff is getting hosted directly in Microsoft 365, and that's probably why people keep on using that so widely. So and asking about that. But I guess that's all on the list, unless I missed something.
There was one question from Russell. When this runs in Outlook, can you use Office.js to interact with the mailbox?
I would say, again, it's a not yet. Right now, it's still using Teams.js to interact with certain Outlook capabilities like mail. But the only mail capabilities right now, you can create a mail and then kind of queue it up for sending. All the Office.js capabilities are still sort of in a separate app, and we are looking at how we can kind of bring those together and make them work together, but not yet.
Yeah, I think the direction is really cool. We're looking into doing a unified package, unified model, unified coordination, administrative, all of that. So, but this journey is going to take a while. So, but we'll get there. And the objective obviously is not to do any disruptive moves and shutting down anything what we're doing right now, because again, we need to do this carefully together with our ecosystem and community. So we'll keep on doing these demos for sure in these calls and show stuff in the build as well and so on. But thank you, Saurabh, on that one. Let's follow up on if there's any questions on the chat afterwards, but I guess it's time to move to Waldek and Alex.
Woohoo!
Thanks,
there we go. Audio works.
Alex, I guess the floor is yours. You want to start?
Yeah, so I will do some kind of introduction why we started to working on this new command, and Waldek will do some demo afterwards. So basically, behind the scenes, I was working a lot on GitHub issues related to SharePoint framework, and what I saw that
Alex, sorry. Can we do a restart? Can you explain who you are and what are you doing? So just
my name is Alex. I'm a senior developer in SPFx team. So basically, I'm working on different SPFx features and fixing issues that were there for a while as well. Yeah, and while working on the issues that were there for a while, I saw that many SPFx projects that were shared with us have kind of not correct configuration in package.json file. So, for example, there could be multiple versions of Rush stack compiler. Some types dependencies could be in dependencies instead of dev dependencies, etc., etc. And at the end, it led to larger JS files in your solutions and worse performance for sure, and worse performance as for your solution and for the whole SPFx page, SharePoint page as well. So I reached out to Waldek to see if we can address it somehow in CLI for Microsoft 365. And at the end, we got this SPFx doctor command that will analyze your package.json file and provide different steps you can do to optimize your solution. And for you and your customers, it will help to improve the performance of your solutions and your pages. And for now, it's what it does. It analyzes your dependencies, what should be like dependencies, what dev dependencies. If you have multiple instances of Rush stack compiler, if you have some duplicating dependencies, maybe you have some duplicating modules, like for example, you can have Office UI Fabric React and Fluent UI because the names are different, but at the end it's basically the same package. So it will analyze this kind of stuff and describe you what you can do to make your solution more clean and at the end less in the size. And Waldek, back to you.
Excellent, thank you. So you mentioned already, Alex, that we've built it on top of CLI for Microsoft 365. And before we go on, how about we spend a minute to talk a little about what CLI is, what it is, and how does that fit into it. So CLI for M365 is an open source command line tool that works on any OS in any shell. And its goal is to help you manage and automate the management of your Microsoft 365 tenant, a few things on Azure that are also involved with building things on Microsoft 365, which is things around Azure AD. And then a big part is also geared towards helping you work with SharePoint framework. And you might know it from the past around the ability of trying to upgrade your SharePoint framework projects from one version to another to benefit from the recent adjustments and updates, right? So as Alex said, we've extended the CLI with this new ability to analyze your SharePoint framework project and help you see whether everything's sound, and if not, offer you some tips how you can fix that. So with that, let's move to code, because what is a demo without code, right? Let me move screens a little and share my screen, and please let me know where you can see it. 3, 2, 1. Any moment now? Can you see it? The big question. Okay, perfect.
Yep, we can see it.
All right. Is it good enough? Is it too small?
You should open up a text file there to see. It looks promising. Let's put it there. Yep, it's good enough.
It's promising. That is the best I ever got. It looks promising. Excellent. So what you see on the screen is VS Code in the light theme, and in here I have a vanilla kind of SharePoint Framework 1.14 web part React project, right? So in there, nothing fancy. There's a web part hello world with a few additions, right? And now I skipped the part when I will run npm install, run dependencies. I don't need that for a demo. But the question is, would this thing work, right? So imagine the case. You go to your source code repo, you grab the code, you want to run this, and it fails. And at that point, you might get the weirdest errors from TypeScript, from NPM, basically pages and pages of error stacks saying, like, there is something wrong, and it's now up to you, a detective, to find out what's wrong, right? So let's have a look at how CLI for Microsoft 365 makes that easier. Let me move to Terminal, and I've already installed CLI for Microsoft 365, and you can do it really easily directly from NPM by running npm I for install -g, because that is a command line tool that you want to be able to run no matter where you are on your disk, right? You might want to use it across all projects you have, right? And then add pnp CLI-Microsoft 365. Once you run this, you will be able to run CLI anywhere you are. I've done this already, so I will not do it again. But now is the trick. Let me run the new SPFx project doctor command that will analyze the project that I have and tell me what I've done wrong. How many errors do you think I'll get? Any ideas, suggestions? 3, 5, 10, more?
2.
2. Huh, that would be optimistic. All right. I will run the M365 SPFx project doctor command with output in Markdown. So I want to have a report that I can read. Optionally, you could also run a report that you can format in JSON. So that is more geared towards if you want to automate something, report, process it in a script, and so forth and so on. And we also have other forms as well that I will show you in the end. For now, let's run a report in Markdown and store it to a file that I can open in VS Code. So it's running now, 3, 2, 1, and it's there, it's done. Let me close Terminal to make some more space on the screen, and let's have a look at the report. And to make it a little bit easier to read, let me view the Markdown file as text. Right, so in here it says it validated my project on this date, and here is the list of things it found. Okay, so one thing it found is like, hey, you've got installed SP Web Part Base 113.1, but your project is built on 114, so that doesn't match. So you should run this command to fix it. Okay, cool, 1. Then apparently I also have SP Office UI Fabric Core 113.1 that doesn't match 114.0. So another command for me to run. And it kind of becomes clear that the person who would update the project didn't maybe update everything. Maybe they only updated a few things. Maybe halfway the process, somebody called them, somebody brought coffee or cake, and they didn't go exactly through, right? The cool thing is that for each of these messages, you can click the link here, and it will tell you exactly where it is in file. So you can hear it's like, hey, that error originates from here in this the project, right? Okay, what else do I have? So we've already seen that not all dependencies are installed. Here's another one. So apparently we reference Microsoft SP low-subset using a range. Why is this an issue? Because if you don't log dependencies today, we have built a project with 114.0. Tomorrow, maybe there is another. There will be 114.1. But if you don't log the version, you might get mismatch. Some of the dependencies that are based on the logged version are on 114.0. When you have a range, you might have 114.1. And with that, you will be out of sync. So again, that's something you might want to pay attention to. And if you don't, well, there is this tool that you can use that will help you keep that in mind. Another thing is, we have another range. We had that already. Here's another thing that we check. Apparently, we installed SP Office UI Fabric Core as a dev dependency. Well, it isn't. It's something that we need in production, right? It's not a developer tool. It's a part of our app, right? The way we style it, that is a part of the code that is shipped, right? So it needs to be a dependency. So again, our error, we move it into the wrong place in project. And then we have the same thing the other way around. We installed SP Build Web as dependency Well, this is a part of the dev toolchain that builds the project. So again, something we need to fix, right? And the more we go, the more errors that we will see, right? And it becomes clear that, well, apparently we even use an obsolete version of RushStack compiler 3.2, right? Whereas we're supposed to be using a newer one. So it becomes clear, right, that in this project, we have quite a few things that we should fix to ensure that it will run optimally, that there will be no errors, no duplicate packages, nothing else, right? So we can run these commands one by one, but if you go all the way up, you will see there's a link to a summary. If you click on that, you should be able to go all the way down. Well, it doesn't work here, but there is summary with a one script that you can run, right? So we will uninstall whatever we need to uninstall, install whatever we're missing, and at the end dedupe, right? So with that on npm, you ensure that there's no mismatch across your whole dependency tree across the version you have installed, because at times that can also lead to issues. So again, we do this extra thing for you to ensure that at the end you have a project that works, right? And again, if I would be running this, you would be, or we all would be looking now 2 minutes at me running npm install, which is just as exciting as watching somebody or watching paint dry, right? So we will not do that. Instead, let me show you one more cool thing that we can do here, right? So I mentioned that when you run the doctor command, you have the ability to choose from a number of formats for the report. You've just seen a report that I run in Markdown, which is a format that reasonably you as human being can read. But there's also another type, which is called tour, which is a bit more guiding you step by step, right? So with that, lets me do that. Again, it's going to just take a second or two for me to run it. And then what you see, or what you might have seen or not, is that now in my project, I have this .tours file, folder within their validation tour. What is this thing? So there is this extension for VS Code named Code Tour. And what Code Tour is, it allows you to build a guided tour through your files in project. So how does that work in action? Typically, when you open a new project that has a tour, you will get pop-ups like, hey, this project has a tour. Do you want to open it? Because I've been here already, you don't see that. Let me close terminal, right? But we can open it ourselves. So let me open the tour that we have, which is, why am I not seeing here? Console. No, I want to see the tour. I can tell you, where is that? Invalid config. It should be here. Why it's not? Let me reopen tour file. Maybe that will work. No, I promised you. I've tested it today. It worked. Let me reload the window. Tours. It is here. It is here and it's open. It should work. There you go. There you go. It's something's happening. There is my tour. Okay. I don't know what it was. Probably glitch in the matrix, but it's there. It's working. So what is the exciting part about tour? Well, now in here, I see all the issues that I have in this tree view. So let me open one. Hey, in here, I can now see exactly where in my project there is an issue. And because I zoomed in extremely, like it's cramped on a screen, but in normal view, you will see like more space around it, and it will be easier to see. But in here already, you can see a more visual guide pointing you exactly to the line of code in project that is wrong, explaining you what is exactly wrong, what's required. The command, if you can click on that, if you would click on that, that would run immediately a command. So there is no need for you to copy paste stuff around. You can do it directly from here. And that applies to every one issue that we found, right? So for everyone, we link to the exact place in project so that you can see like, hey, this thing is coming from where? And yes, it's indeed like it says 113.1 here. And yes, that's indeed the case, right? And that should be, this line should be 114.0, right? And we can see it for every single issue that we have, right? So if you want to understand better what's wrong and where it's coming from, this format is really great. It's a great way to learn like how things are supposed to be. And even if you build a project and you share a new project with your team, it's a great way to offer tools to help people learn from the code base, as opposed to create a doc and then copy paste code from your code editor to a doc, right? So this is a great way for you to visually to see, what are the different things that you should adjust before you move on. So as Alex said, we check quite a few things as a part of this check. So let's have a closer look at what is it exactly that we check today, right? So first thing that you've seen, right, is that we had a few dependencies that were installed 1.13.1, while the project was 1.14.0, right? So we checked that SharePoint Framework dependencies match the version that is the version with which the project was built, right? So we check that all SharePoint Framework dependencies are in sync. Another thing that we've seen is that when we refer to a dependency by range, we also bring it up, because again, it can lead to a mismatch that can lead eventually to errors. So we also flag that as a thing that you could check. Then we check that dependencies are installed as dependencies and dev dependencies are installed as dev dependencies, so that in the end you're not shipping anything that you should not be shipping, and the other way around, that when you ship you will not miss anything, right? The same applies also to types. Typings are dev time thing, so they shouldn't be installed as a dependency. They belong in the dev dependencies, right? And the same also applies to Rush Stack Compiler, which is basically the TypeScript part in SPFx, right? And then we also hey, maybe if you would bring up over time your SharePoint framework project from one version to another, maybe you've upgraded the Rush Stack Compiler too, but maybe you didn't remove the old one, and now you have two of them or three, which unneededly expand the installation time, right? Because now you have not two dependencies, or not one, but two or more, and all their chains, right? So again, if you and you only need one. So we will try to see which version do you need based on the SharePoint Framework project you actually use, and advise you to keep only that one and remove everything else. And then we'll also see if there are duplicate dependencies. Maybe you have one in depth, the other one in dev depth. Maybe there is duplicate Office UI fabric, right? Then we'll also check if you have gulp, AJV, if you have maybe PNP.js, because in the past, version 1 was named differently, right? So we will also check that too. So these rules, these checks, apply to every SharePoint Framework version project you will run. But then there are also things that are specific to different versions in SPFx. And for that, for each version, we have a specific set of checks that we do on top, right? So we do the baseline for everything. And then on top, we look at specific versions that kind of stem from the version matrix for specific versions of SPFx. So in there, we check if you have the right version of React, of Office UI Fabric React, or of gulp, AJV, and so forth and so on. So with all of that, we strive to help minimize the risk of any error stemming from mismatch of the dependencies, right? So in a nutshell, this is what we do today. And for me personally, I'd like to hear from you two things. Do you think that that is a meaningful addition to your tool set? And in other words, are you going to use it and try it? And two, what else would you like us to check? And I will stop sharing screen and hope to see some opinions and faces.
And don't stop sharing screen, because it's nicer to have that one in the video than.
Yeah, but then I cannot see anything.
Oh, because you only have one screen because you're.
No, I have two screens. I have two screens. So I can do okay, cool. Yes. So for the video, let me move this one. But yeah, so I'm waiting for opinions and thumbs up, thumbs down. Yes, Jason will use it. Russell will use it. Yes, perfect. Yes, okay, so cool. So we've heard some yay. What else would you like us to add? What else what are other issues that you come across or things that you're like, didn't think about that you think we could add here to save you and your teammates time? Can it write my code for me? We're working on that. Copilot is doing that already. Who knows? Maybe if you build SPFx stuff some more, maybe Copilot will pick up that too. Can we use this to test if our app is likely to make it into the App Store? So we don't have any App Store specific things, and I'm not sure to what extent we could automate them, because I recall from the past that there are quite a few things that are related to UI that we can't really test. But if there are things that we could test, I don't see the reason why not. This is witchcraft. I like it. Well, excellent. What about identifying unused code segments? I think that isn't that already being done by Webpack? Right, because like that is a part of the code analysis and optimizing there, right? So if you build a prod version of your bundle, I personally would expect Webpack. I would expect Webpack to do that. But if it doesn't, then maybe there might be also related to the specific, intricacies between CommonJS, ES modules, how you import things, and so forth and so on. So personally, analyzing unused code, I would leave that in the Webpack side of the house, as Vesa says. You should make a sample of which does reporting of this in the CI/CD pipeline. Excellent. Who's taking notes? Nobody. Oh. It's recorded, so it's all good. We will not lose this. Not sure if it does this already, but I checked to see if CDN is being used or not for assets. Can you see, would we be able to detect in a code if CDN is being used, or is it something that is being done on runtime based on the tenant where it runs?
It's a tenant level setting, not in the code level.
Okay, so in the code, you don't need to do anything for that. It just picks up whatever is available on runtime. Okay, perfect. So one checklist that we need to do, because Microsoft 365 does that for us already. UI checker accessibility to make sure the app will display correctly on all screen sizes. Could we analyze it from the code, or would it be something that runs in browser? I think it would be the latter one, right? And I think that there are already accessibility checks available in Edge. Is that the case? Yes, Alex says yes, so yes. Perfect. Anything else? 3, 2, 1. We still have a few minutes left, I guess, before we go to the slides back and close down. What about identifying unused packages? Okay, so you have dependencies installed that are not being used. That's interesting. I wonder if we could do something about it, because again, yes, that would. I wonder if Webpack will include them or not if there are no imports.
I don't believe so. I believe that Webpack will ignore these packages if you don't have imports.
Okay, yeah, but then we could still help speed up the npm-i so that you don't pull down or install dependencies that you do not use. So yeah, that's an idea we're going to take and see if we can experiment with that. Cool. Anything else with the hive mind of everybody we have on a call?
So my additional idea, and you know about that, many people just import everything from Office UI Fabric React, which is not good because in that case you will have the whole Office UI Fabric React in your bundle. So we can check if we have correct imports, like import button from Office UI Fabric React /lib.
So the lib button. Yeah. Okay. Yes. That is actually. Yes, that is something that we should definitely add, because we should be able to find out about that. Definitely. Cool. All right. So with that, I will stop sharing my screen, Vesa, if that is okay with you now. Is it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Just checking.
It's just easier to see what you already have there with the screen and all of that. So that's good. So cool. So let's actually come in here. We only have 5 minutes to go. We can save a few minutes of time from this week's call, which is great. So we're not 2 minutes too long. But that was 2 great demos and topics to cover today from Saurabh Bhatia. related on creating an apps that extend across Teams and Outlook and Office, and that is a really, really cool setup. We are, as said, we're looking into doing this across the Microsoft 365, across all of the tool stacks. This journey will take a while, but now we're getting there and getting the first steps out. And then thank you, Waldek and Alex, really, really great demos related on the tooling, which is now available in CLI for Microsoft 365. See, in here, I didn't have the typo, but I had it on the start slide. Now, just a quick reminder for those who might have time today, we do have 9:05, so within 7 minutes or 9 minutes, we'll start a new AMA Ask Us Anything session related on Viva Connection and development. And Alex, a few PMs, including me and engineering managers, will be in that session available to answer to your questions. And this is basically the Sharing is Caring initiative, which we covered earlier today in the call. So you can actually join there. You can access the Teams chat and Teams session, and we'll be there answer to your questions. Anything around Viva Connections and Viva Connection extensibilities based on SharePoint framework. So web parts, extensions, and Viva Connection ACEs. If you have any questions, join on that call. Now, just a recap on the recording. The recording will be available within 24 hours in the Microsoft 365 community YouTube channel at AKMS M365 PMP videos, or M365/videos actually works as well. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. Easiest way to follow up on the new videos which are coming there on a day-to-day basis. There's actually at least 2 to 3 videos every single day on that channel. You can also follow us on Twitter in the Microsoft 365 Dev or M365 PMP. Both channels and accounts are quite active, and you will be notified then on when the new versions or new content is available. The next Microsoft 365 platform community call is on May 3rd, almost said March, which is strange. May 3rd at 8 a.m. Pacific time, so a week from now. And if you're looking into downloading the recurrent invites, go to the AKMS M365 PMP. From there, you can download the recurrent invites to your Outlook or to your mail or calendar client. But that's it for the day. Thank you one more time for the presenters. Thank you for the questions in the chat. Awesome to have a lively and interactive discussion once again, and see you in the next community call. Thank you for that.